So, welcome everybody to another Instructional Design and Learning SIG webinar. You are in for a treat today. We are going to hear from Dr. McMichael, who goes by Lonnie, right?
Yes, usually.
And usually. Um, and she's going to talk to us today about something that I thought was just something you had to get, a skill that you just had to kind of get from the School of Hard Knocks. She's going to talk to us about technological adaptability, formalizing a vital skill. And uh, as you know, because you signed up for this, so you read the announcement on Eventbrite, but Dr. McMichael got all this knowledge the hard way by surviving the 1990s when all the technology was changing so quickly. And but she survived that, and she's brought all of what she's learned together, and she's going to share it with us today. So without further ado, Lonnie, take it away.
All right, thank you. Just a note before we start, I can get going really fast. I get real passionate about this stuff, and when I get a little nervous, I talk really fast. So if I need to slow down, just please point it out. And Vicki, if you point out anything in the chat, I'll try to keep my eye on it. But
Yep, that's part of my job. Keep an eye
okay,
on the
great.
chat.
And if you have a question, whoever you are, please speak up. I'll be glad to answer questions in the middle of this process. I can come in and out easily. I don't lose my place too bad. So anyway, my name is Dr. Melonie McMichael. I usually go by Lonnie. I am a senior instructor at the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs in the Professional and Technical Writing Department. I am the proprietor of the consulting firm Adaptability LLC, where I consult on things technologically adaptable, and I'm author of the book Technological Adaptability. And today I'm going to talk to you about formalizing the skill of technological adaptability and adding it into the technical communicators toolkit. So let me give you a little background on why I have a passion for this topic. When I started out, I was a technical writer in Austin in the 90s. Like Vicki said, School of Hard Knocks. Had tons of technology. We had to learn technology very quickly. Technology was a huge part of my job. And then I came back to school. I got bored, decided I wanted to go back to school to get my PhD, and went back in 2003 and discovered that most, if not the majority, of technical communication programs were not teaching any kind of technology to students. They taught them only writing. And I was horrified, knowing how much a part of technology was, how big a part it was of our jobs. And when I asked why we don't teach it, I was told a few things. First off, I was told, excuse me, that expertise is just too time intensive. If we teach technology like we teach writing, it would take far too long to be an expert. Secondly, whatever we taught students today would be quickly outdated, and it would, by the time they graduated, it would be out of date. And finally, there's just too many options. We didn't know what our students would be working with. And all of these are true and right and good reasons not to teach technology, but I knew we needed to be teaching technology anyway. So I set out to find a way to teach students technology basically as a soft skill, to teach them how to learn technology quickly. And through years of teaching classes on this and working through this and figuring out what works best and experimenting, I've come up with the concept of technological adaptability and a way to teach technology as a soft skill. So what is technological adaptability? I define it as the ability to learn technology quickly or deal with technological issues efficiently and with confidence. It is a skill in and of itself. It is different from, but intertwined with technological knowledge. Now, what I've found in my experience is that most people who teach technology, such as technological literacy programs, they teach technology hoping people become adaptable. And I flip this around. I teach adaptability hoping that they'll pick up some technology along the way. So, and this creates the soft skill of technological adaptability. So let me talk about what why I'm talking about hard skills versus soft skills. So when we have the hard skill of technology skills, we're talking about technical expertise and knowledge. This is being an expert in FrameMaker or Microsoft Word or Adobe Illustrator or one of the many other programs that we have available to us today. It is the actual technical expertise that comes with practice. Adaptability is different. It is the attitudes, practices, and behaviors that help us interact with technology. How do we approach a new technology? How do we handle troubleshooting? What do you do when you have no help anywhere and you have a problem you have to solve? It's that kind of thing. It's more a way of looking at the technology rather than the actual technical skill itself. Now, again, as you learn adaptability, you learn technical skills along the way, but the adaptability becomes the focus instead of the technical skills. Technology skills, they're objectable, they're tangible, quantifiable. You can test someone's knowledge on FrameMaker or Illustrator or Camtasia. You can test and see, easily if someone knows it or not. Adaptability skills are more subjective. They're more intangible and they're harder to measure. This is usually takes somebody with adaptability skills to see if someone else has adaptability skills. More like writing, more like something that is a skill that you develop rather than just knowledge. Now, the technology skills, the deal about them is they are hard to transfer. If you are just really, really good at Microsoft Word, and that's the program you know, transferring that to another program might not go so well. But if you're technologically adaptable, someone can hand you a new program and it's no big thing. It's just part of that way you look at technology. So most technical communicators I know that are in the high-tech field at least are incredibly technologically adaptable. They're used to new technology being thrown at them in every shape, form, and fashion. And it's just part of what makes us technical communicators in a lot of ways. So why do I suggest we formalize it? Excuse me, take a drink. So let me give you a couple of definitions of formalize from Merriam-Webster's. It's to give a certain or definitive form to and to give formal status or approval to. And I suggest that we actually do both. We need to form what is this thing, this amorphous idea of technological adaptability. And then we need to make it tangible. We need to make it something we can hold on to, that we can understand when we're talking to each other what it is. And then if we do that, we can expand upon it. As we watch what's coming down the pike, we're only going to be dealing with more and more new technology at faster and faster rates. It ain't going to slow down. In fact, we're still seeing it expand. When I keep thinking it isn't going to get any faster, they find ways to move even quicker. So we need to be able to meet that demand. And if we will formalize the skill, if we will put it in our tool belts, if we will start talking to each other about it and start trying to make it a part of what we do, I think we are going to find that it really grows. And it also has direct relevance to specific roles. It's different for students than someone who's a current technical communicator than someone who's a hiring manager, someone who's a teacher or researcher. And I'll talk in a minute about the relevance to each specific role. But first, I want to talk a minute about the nature of our work. So by our very nature, we have a unique position. We take this concept, we take technological concept, technological information, scientific information, processes, procedures, whatever, and we disseminate those in some form, be it a help system, a video tutorial, a manual, whatever it happens to be. We disseminate this information. So not only do we have to be technologically adaptable to be able to pick up the technology, But we also have to be technologically adaptable with the publication technologies, which tend to come in and out of favor. There tends to be a lot of trends there, and they tend to move fast. So, you know, when I was back in the 90s, everything was a user manual. Today, we're doing a whole lot of different things, including interactive tutorials and videos and all kinds of stuff. So, by the very nature of our work, adaptability is required, and specifically, technological adaptability is required. And in some ways, we're in a relatively unique position. I rather feel to have the same setup, but because of that, we have to be twice over technologically adaptable. So let me talk for a minute about relevance tools. So for those students out there, those of you who are learning to be technologically adaptable, it is not especially easy, but it is possible to learn to set out to become technologically adaptable and to get there. What you got to do is just face new technology often. Just pick up a new program you've never seen before and try to learn it. Do something on it. Create a picture on it. Try to recreate some cool effect you've seen. Something. To do something on this new program. Get to know more about the programs you do know. You know, Adobe Illustrator, I promise there's probably more you could learn. Same with, you know, a lot of the big programs, FrameMaker and Photoshop and MadCat Player, all of those. They're such big, powerful programs. It's easy to be able to expand on your knowledge. And learn sub-skills. This is where a class or a book can help. There are a lot of sub-skills out there. I actually put 3 sub-skills into 3 different categories. I put them in pattern recognition, exploration, and extrapolation. And almost all the sub-skills fall into one of those 3 categories. Those sub-skills can really help making learning to be technologically adaptable a little bit easier. So Rainey et al. Said in the journal Technical Communication, the answer to the question, how much technical knowledge should I have, is always more than you have now. And that is true in my experience and most technical communicators I've talked to. You can't have too much technology. And the reality is when you walk in to try to find a job, no one will ever say you have too many skills, I'm not going to hire you. They may say you have too much experience.
Sorry.
Well, it's true, you know. Y'all could probably vouch for this, those of you out there in the workforce. They're just not going to tell you you got too many skills. They may say you have too much experience, we can't pay you enough. But they'll never tell you you have too many skills. So a big, robust, technology-rich portfolio is a great way to go. And in fact, I had a question when I gave this talk at the STC Summit. A student there asked, so how do I show that I am technologically adaptable? And you do that by providing a technology-rich portfolio and being able to talk about how you learned these technologies and being able to talk about your process of learning technology. So you want to build that technology-rich portfolio? Some ways to do it. If you aren't getting the classes you need to help build that, get out there and volunteer. Go to your favorite nonprofit and build them a website or make them a brochure or make them and since so many of you are in the IDL SIG, make them a video training or something. That's a great way to add to your technology-rich portfolio. Play and explore. Get out there and just practice with new programs. There's a lot of freeware that has to do with our field. We have Vector Graphic, we have Illustrator, which unfortunately is a kind of expensive program, even though it's a lovely program. But we have Vector, which may not be so nice, but it it's free. You can download it and use it for free. The same thing, you may not be able to afford FrameMaker, but you can work on Scribus. So just getting out and getting involved with technology that's close to what we have out there will help you come time to get hired. And the biggest thing is to practice. You can't practice too much on this stuff. Technological adaptability is a, hold on just one second. Technological adaptability is a situation where you just got to practice as much as you can. It's something that, you know, you've got to build on. Sorry about that interruption. I have a cat who's making noise. Let me go around the room. Okay. All right. Apologize for that. All right. For those of you who are currently technical communicators, maintaining your technological adaptability. You're in the field, you're a good technical communicator, you're technologically adaptable. What do you do from here? Be careful if you get stuck on a low or old tech project. I worked for a small software company for 3 years. I got stuck back using old technology. We, of course, couldn't buy new versions, and when I got out of there, it took me about 3 to 6 months to get my technology skills back. So it is one of those things you got to be very careful. If you happen to get stuck on an older tech or low tech project, start practicing on your own. It is important to practice regularly. A poll that came out recently on I'd Rather Be Writing suggested 30 minutes a day. I would say at least once a month, practice learning something new. And then stay up with trends. If things are changing out there in such a way, and you're not aware of it, when you go to find a new job, it can be messy. So I do encourage you to stay up with technological trends, what's out there, what's happening, all of that kind of thing. So if you are a hiring manager, how do you hire someone who's technologically adaptable? Chances are you already do this, you already look for things, but again, if we can get more conscious about it, we have a better chance of pulling in better and more technologically adaptable people. First thing, look for that technology-rich portfolio. It's a great thing to have. It will help you know what a student has actually done, and I encourage, if you don't already, question them about it so that you can get an idea of how they actually approach technology. Look for that attitude of adaptability and willingness to approach new tech. If you tell them they have to learn 2 new programs and they wince, chances are they're not going to be real comfortable having to learn a lot of new technology. So that attitude of adaptability is almost as important as the skills themselves, because with the right attitude, adaptability is a lot easier. Do look for sub-skills, for their ability to search Google. I mean, it amazes me how many people out there, even younger people, have struggled with searching Google. The ability to transfer information from one version to another or one program to another. The ability to work with 2 programs in tandem, things like that, those soft skills that really help. And like I was talking to students, please do note that a lot of schools are struggling to afford the technology. A lot of students are struggling to afford the technology, so they might not come in with the programs you really want them to have. But if they have a lot of other programs that are kind of like it, it can help. A note about technological adaptability: it is siloed. That means somebody who is really good in a vector graphic program is going to have an easier time picking up another vector graphic program. Same thing, somebody who's really good in layout is going to have an easier time picking up a layout program. So if they've got, you know, a couple of free vector graphic programs, they're going to have an easier time dealing with Illustrator come time to work on that. So that's something to look for. And along that line, something I forgot to say earlier, things like video games, yes, learning video games can make you more technologically adaptable, but the thing is, because of that siloed effect, it makes you really, really good at video games. Somebody who's really good at one first-person shooter game is going to have an easier time learning another first-person shooter game. Someone who's good at hidden object games are going to have a really easy time learning new hidden object games. They're going to struggle a bit to go learn a layout software program. So again, you want to work on the programs that are around your particular interests. And that leads us into teaching technological adaptability. I will say that this is one of the hardest classes I've ever taught. It is incredibly challenging for students. It requires active learning. That means that you can give them the exercises, you can give them information on soft skills, but to truly become technological adaptability, they just have to dig in and start working on new technology. And it is a little bit uncomfortable for everyone. The way I teach this is I hand them an exercise, and they have to figure out how to do all the pieces in the exercise. And I know there was a school up in, I can't remember where, but it was in Programmatic Perspectives, who did something like this with teaching design. It's the best way to learn, because that's what we have to do in the workforce. We get an issue, we got to figure it out. But it is a little daunting. Students want a little bit more passive learning. They want to be told more. They want to be able to be given more information to be able to do this, and there's simply no way to do that. The way that I've learned, at least, I would love somebody else to figure that out, but I have yet to find a way to teach them to be technologically adaptable without just forcing them to practice it as much as possible. So I target multiple programs. My first time I taught this class, I taught 12 programs in 15 weeks. And it was an absolute nightmare, way too much. We cut it down now, we do 8, maybe 10, but for the most part I stick closer to 8 in my classes. It's a workshop class, which means they get a lot of time to work on the programs in class. Right now I'm teaching it online. And so that gives them the ability to really work on their own. I provide exercises that inform and challenge. So for instance, the exercises that I use will set up so for illustrators, it will make them look at tools that are kind of hidden underneath in the toolbox. So that they have that chance to just learn a little bit more about the program. I teach those sub-skills. I provide the information on them. Again, skills are only developed by practicing them, but at least I can give them some information on those sub-skills. And the final thing about teaching technological adaptability, I had to give up that guru role. It is impossible with creating classes, with grading, with everything else I have to do to try to be an expert in 10 software programs. I promise them that I will do the exercise before the class, and that's really important because last spring I sat down to do the Acrobat exercises and everything had changed. So I had to change up the exercise. But other than that, I don't promise that I know these programs inside and out. And it's been really good because it actually gave the students a chance to relax and understand that learning technology is a tough process and it takes some time and some effort. I was really worried it would undermine me in the classroom, but it really doesn't. You know, I've learned to say, if you have a problem, talk to me, we'll figure it out if I don't know the answer. And I have to say, I don't know, let's figure it out together a lot. But it actually teaches them some about troubleshooting in that process. It's a lot of teaching opportunities there.
So if you're willing to look vulnerable in front of them because you're working your way through something, then it gives them permission to be vulnerable and try new things.
Very definitely, very definitely. And I really noticed when I started taking that attitude of I am not the guru up here in front of the class, I'm not the expert, I'm the lead learner. Really, you just saw this big sigh of relief. And it's like, okay, I don't have to be this, technology powerhouse. I just have to get through this, and figure this out. That's one thing. So it really helped a lot with their attitude.
Hey, Lonnie, I want to interrupt you for a sec. We're getting a little bit of crackling on your audio. Do you mind checking your mic?
Okay, let's see. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, and much clearer. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it flipped over. Let me check real quick. Okay, I see.
We can blame the cat, right?
Excuse me?
You can blame the cat.
I apologize for that. That was really, I forgot that's the reason I usually stick her outside. She likes to scratch on things. Okay. Research. Oh, this is someplace I would love to see some assistance. My teaching method has been born from my experience in industry and academia, so it is limited to my experience. And I keep trying to get around to try to do research, but honestly, I just don't have the time. I'm an instructor, so I teach 4 classes a semester, and the time is just not there to do much more than try to get the word out about this. I have this huge, long list of possible research topics. So anybody who is interested, who might be looking for a dissertation topic or a thesis topic, please come talk to me. I promise I have some ideas for you. We just have some incredible opportunities in our field to research this and to know more about it and to be leading. I mean, technological adaptability affects everyone. Everyone at one level needs to be technologically adaptable just to function our world. But we, of course, need to be at a much, much higher level. And that gives us an opportunity to really do some special looks, especially for technical communication in particular. Teaching methods. We need research on teaching methods. I figured out how to teach it my way, but geez, there may be better ways out there. And we need to understand the part adaptability plays in tech comm and what's happening right now with adaptability and the requirement and how we're being required to adapt so quickly. I think there's a lot of research that needs done in this area. So if you're interested in anything along this line, please feel free to contact me. I'd love to talk to you about it. All right. So my argument with all of this is that we foster adaptability as a field, is that we claim it as one of our tools that goes in the technical communicator's toolbox, that we acknowledge that it's something that we need. Again, I think we're in a unique position to actually focus on this. If we focus on it, we will produce better results. We'll have technical communicators that are more adaptable. It will work better. And I see that we're only going to need more adaptability to come. Right now, I promise this one thing to my students every semester, is the one thing I can absolutely guarantee is that technology is going to change. And it's changing exponentially at a quicker and quicker pace. And I don't know how we're going to keep up that pace, but apparently we are at this point. So we have to be adaptable with it. Like I said, both our publication technologies and the technology we document are moving so quickly that we have to keep up with that. So I hope, it is my hope that people will continue to look at this and to expand upon it and to start thinking about how do you become technologically adaptable and what have you done to be technologically adaptable. So if you are interested in technological adaptability, I do have a book called Technological Adaptability. There's an instructor's version and a student version out there. If you think you might want to teach a class that touches on this, please contact me and I will gladly send you a PDF of the instructor's version. I have Udemy courses that should be out this semester. One of them hopefully will be out by the end of October, and the other one will be out by the end of December. So those should be a little bit more accessible for individuals who'd rather learn by video than by reading. Covers much the same thing. I am available on LinkedIn. I do post things on technology in our field pretty regularly, and often about the same stuff on Adaptability on Facebook. So if you are interested, please contact me. Does anybody have any questions?
And a reminder, everybody does have microphone rights, so if you would like to speak your question, that's great, or if you'd like to type your question, that's good too. And since you're encouraging us to try new things, maybe you should respond something out of your strength zone, right? Oh,
right. Good. Darcy, I actually did present this at the summit this last year. Next year, I'm looking at doing a presentation specifically on teaching technological adaptability and going really into the details on how you present it. And I am currently teaching at the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs. I teach online. I actually live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I am teaching this particular class next spring. I teach it every spring. Just a note for those of you who are in academics who might be interested in teaching this class, technological adaptability alone doesn't really make a good academic class, but it is a wonderful setup to teach theories around technology. I teach it along with professional communication where we build a portfolio, a lot of that kind of thing. And so I see that someone asked about the book. If you would email me, it'll be easier. And so I'll make sure I get you the book. Yeah, I did talk about that, but I'd gladly say it again, Kathy. When you're wanting to present yourself as technologically adaptable, the best thing is to have a technology-rich portfolio in that you can talk about being technologically adaptable and how you approach new programs and can actually show that you're technologically adaptable with that technology-rich portfolio. So you want to develop a bunch of programs, a bunch of products, and a bunch of different programs. The more, the better.
Everybody's shy. No one wants to speak out loud.
See, when you're teaching this, what does pacing look like in the classroom? I have the type of class where many students are open to adaptability and have technical skills at the get-go, but others who have a lot of anxiety or perceived lack of skills. I tell you, this has worked really well online. I always do it at either a workshop class on site or teach it online. And I actually prefer online because I don't have to watch them be in so much pain. But it is a hard class. It is, you know, they struggle. So the pacing, this is how it usually falls out. I have about 3 who pick it up. I have about a third who pick it up. They run with it. They understand everything I'm talking about. It makes perfect sense to them. I have about a third who kind of get it. And then I hear from them after they're out in the workforce, and they're like, oh, that's what you were talking about. So they get the basis of the skills enough so that when they're faced with it, they're able to do it. And then I have about a third who tell me I haven't taught them anything because I haven't gone through each program, you know, field by field. And they just can't get the concept of being technological adaptable. They focus on learning technology, and they just won't learn to be adaptable. And they don't usually have the attitude as well. So, you know, it's interesting to have to deal with a classroom that's that separately paced, but having the workshop system where come into class and you get to work on your product here, that tends to help deal with that pacing issue in my experience. Groups get really tough in this kind of situation because of that a variety of experiences. Other questions? You're welcome.
So I do have a question. This is Vicki again, and a lot of my job is evangelism, but it occurs to me that I really ought to be trying to encourage techno-adaptability. So in the workplace, how would that look? Because I evidently need a couple of hints. What I tend to do is just praise people when they are curious or they do learn something new. But I need sort of and that's a pull as opposed to a push. I guess I need a more push type of an approach.
You know, I have found that actually talking about the concept a lot gets people interested. Now, this is usually how the conversation goes. What do you teach? Technological adaptability. Oh, what's that? Explain what it is. And then, oh, I want that. Can you teach it to me in an afternoon? You know,
Okay.
A lot of people want it really fast and really easy. And this is where I keep talking about, if you want to be technological adaptable, you've got to work on that. It's a skill you've got to build that's about equivalent to learning to play piano. You know, it's something that's going to take time and effort, and you have to continue to work on it. And so I do encourage people to be technologically adaptable, because the reality is everybody needs it. We see, I have a lot of friends who are older, and they are really frustrated with the world in general because they don't have an easy way to interact with it. They're not comfortable with technology. So my own partner, he reads all this stuff I do and everything, and he still refuses to become technologically adaptable. So, you know, it's a lot of work, and I just keep encouraging people to practice their adaptability. Now, when I was out in the workforce, I tended to be the guru, and I tended to have everybody, you know, I think technical writers often end up being the ones that people come over to get help with either their programs or with their writing. And at that point, you can just really kind of encourage them to practice. I often will tell people who ask, like my partner, I finally taught him Google it. And that took me about 2 years of saying, please Google it before you ask. Well, because he'd find the answer. And that's such a new thought process for some people, just to go look on the web first. And so, you know, just doing some of that, just encouraging some adaptable behavior can also help.
So I'm not too far off base with praising, using some praise. But,
yeah, no,
but I need to introduce that word into the vocabulary that just, yeah, this is what we're doing here. We are learning how to learn something new in technology. It's hard to do. It's going to take time.
I actually am trying to get in to talk to some people who teach technological literacy and try to get technological adaptability mixed in with technological literacy classes. Yeah, exactly. Let me Google that for you. The technological literacy classes, unfortunately, don't cover this, and that really needs to. It really needs to. Any other questions?
I had a comment.
Sure.
Besides enjoying everything you've just said, and thank you very much. I just got my brain going in several directions simultaneously. I've found my leverage with sci-fi, and whether it's explaining to people, well, you know, the Avengers aren't succeeding because they always do the same thing, or finding that odd little hook that, you know, explains to them, well, you know, you probably know 5 different kinds of email systems, so that's a good illustration to start from.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I use it whenever possible. I use, especially I teach engineers, so sci-fi is a great place to start. But yeah, exactly. Using examples like that they can get is really important. Darcy asked, how does tech literacy differ from adaptability? Technological literacy, it really depends. I mean, you know, we have whole books on the definition of tech literacy, but it depends on the definition. And I usually use the definition, fudge, it's in my book. It basically says that it's the ability to be comfortable with technology, and when it's that, and to know how to use technology wisely. When it's that definition, it's intricately involved at a low level. At the level that most technical communicators use technological adaptability, it's above technical literacy. It's beyond what technological literacy covers. But if a lot of times technological literacy also deals with topics like good citizenship. And if we're talking about good citizenship, that's out of the realm of adaptability for the most part. It's not quite in the same area. So basically, it's very, very intertwined. But most tech literacy programs teach technology and teach digital citizenship and things like that, but they never actually teach people to be adaptable and what adaptability looks like. So, you know, what I'm seeing with the millennials I teach, I'm seeing a lot of them are very, very comfortable with the technology that they know now. They tend to use it shallowly, but they're incredibly comfortable with it. But you hand them something brand new they've never seen before, and they freak out just as much as someone who is older. So age alone, being adaptable now is not a protection from not being adaptable later. You got to keep those skills up. You got to keep practicing. So does that cover that, Darcy? It can be. It depends on what it should. Darcy asked if literacy should be part of an adaptability course. It depends on what you want to do with your adaptability course. Adaptability exercises can be added into all kinds of courses. I did an article on I'd Rather Be Writing for Tom Johnson, and I went into a bunch of different examples there on how to interrelate it with an adaptability course, including teaching technology, philosophy of technology, and that kind of thing. You could do a technological literacy adaptability course intertwined, and that would work incredibly well. But I, for the most part, don't worry about literacy in my class because I'm focused on workforce. So I use it as an opportunity to teach how to sell yourself in the employment process and how to build on that. I also teach a higher level class, a 4,000 level class that's called Publication Technologies, and I put some adaptability in there. We deal with the past, present, and future of technology, and we look at how it has affected power and communication and people's lives. And so I slide some adaptability into that as well. So there's a lot of opportunities. Like I said, adaptability alone is really does not make for a college course, but it's wonderful when paired up with other things. Anyone else? Yeah, and I talk about that actually in the book. Fear is a big one, you know. Marcia said sometimes fear of failure interferes with willingness to adapt. I'd actually say it's the number one thing that interferes with the willingness to adapt. That fear of technology is huge. And one of the things, my class is baptism by fire. They get thrown a new technology every 2 weeks, and they have no choice but adapt or fail. And when they come out, you know, at the beginning of the class, most of my students are nervous about new technology. At the end of my class, about half of them were like, I have got this. Show me. Come on, bring on a new technology. I'm ready. You know, so getting through that fear is a big part of adaptability training, I think. Anything else?
Okay, before I stop the recording, I wanted to just let everybody know that in probably 2 hours or less, you will get an email with a link to the recording. I've also been taking notes of other links to put in the email. So you'll get a link to the technoadaptability.com and a link to the book. I couldn't find links to the Udemy courses. They're not available yet?
They're not available yet. They
Got
won't
it.
be up until end of October and a little bit later.
Right. And so if you do have any follow-up questions, then you can get in touch with Dr. McMichael at pretty much any of those locations on the web, or you could Google her, because we're supposed to be learning to Google more, right? So, all right. So I'm going to stop the recording, and we can continue to talk. And just thank you, everyone. If you're watching by recording, thank you for attending our webinar in the pre-recorded format.
Thank you, Vicki.